Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing that video that everyone seems to be doing right now. We're going to list off 26 books that I'm going to prioritize in 2026. Now, I am not going to give big summaries about these books because we might be here a while because there's 26 of them and they range from all kinds of genres. I've got horror on here, fantasy, nonfiction. I've got all kinds of things on here. Most of them are fantasy, and most of them are actually from my physical TBR. 17 of them, in fact, are from my physical TBR. So that's a great number because my goal for next year is to get, I think, like 25 books read from my physical TBR. I only read about 60 books a year. So having 17 priorities be from that list, fantastic. So let's get into it before this video takes an hour. The first one on this list, and these are not in any kind of order, but the first one on this list is The Long Walk. This one is that horror book by Stephen King. The movie just came out where we're following these kids as they've signed up for this like reality show where they have to walk and there's no set time, no set distance that they're going, just be the last man standing. And I think there are 100 people in it, and you just keep walking. And if you slow down too much or you stop, they shoot you. And you're not allowed to have help from anybody. Like, you are on your own. So, this one is one of the big ones that I really want to read going into next year. And I also really want to read Nosferatu. I think that one's by Joe Hill, though. And that one is already in my Libby. I already had it pop up as I could borrow it. But right now I'm trying to prioritize my quarter TBR. So I just suspended it and I'll probably end up reading it in January. It might be one of my first reads in January. Unless I get everything finished this year that I want to finish. I may start it in late December, but January probably. So this one, I'm not entirely sure what it was. I heard it was vampires, but I also heard that it was like different time periods. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But I looked up the blurb, and long story short, we're following these two characters. One of them is a little girl who rides her bike, and she ends up getting like abducted basically by this dude, and she ends up escaping, and she's the only one to ever escape. And so I guess now it's been like years later, and he can't stop thinking about it, and so I guess he's gonna try and like abduct her again. I have no idea. But I've heard really good things about it, and I've never read anything by Joe Hill, and I would like to, so I figured, why not start with this massive book that I have no idea what it's about? You know, why not? This next one is Blackwater, and this one, we're following this town, and this town is really eerie, and I think that there's something in the water, and I think that it is, like, getting people. I can never remember what this book is like fully about. I just know that I want to read it. Yeah, so I was right. Okay, sort of. So, Eleanor is gracious, charming, anxious to belong in this town, and eager to marry this dude, the eldest son of this family. Her beautiful exterior hides a shocking secret. Beneath the waters of the river, she turns into something terrifying, a creature whispered about in stories that have chilled the residents of the town for generations. Yeah. So she goes in the water and she becomes this thing and she like attacks people. I was I was right. Okay, we'll count it for me. The next one is Famous Last Words, and this one is a thriller. And I don't know perspectives or anything, but I know that we are following, at the very least, this wife. And she wakes up, she's got the baby and all these things, and she finds out that her husband is holding people hostage. She has no idea why. She has nothing as far as information. All she has is like this note that he left her that day, I think. All she has. And so she's being interviewed by the police and trying to figure out what in the world is going on. And this one is so fascinating. I cannot wait to read this one. And then the next one is Good Samaritan. This one, we're following this dude, and I think we might get this girl's perspective too. But so this dude, his wife calls a suicide hotline and ends up being talked into killing herself. And so now he's investigating and trying to figure out what happened. And I think we're following the girl who told her to do it. Why she's telling people to do this, I have no idea. But I think that that's like her MO. I think that she just does that. And then I also really want to read The Next Mrs. Parrish. This one is book 2. to The Last Mrs. Parrish. And in that one, we are following Amber, as Amber is attempting to infiltrate Daphne's life and take her place in society and take her husband and her family. And so Amber is trying to like be all buddy buddy with Daphne and trying to like get into her world and then steal her husband, essentially. And so that one was fantastic. I loved the twist in that. Fantastic. This next one is Seven Blades in Black by Sam Sykes. I have only attempted to read something by Sam Sykes. I don't remember what it was, but I liked the it ish. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't want to read it, but I really liked like the back and forth between the characters. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll like this one a little bit better. This one is a revenge story from what I remember. This girl that we're following ends up waking up and she'd been betrayed by these dudes. I don't know. She's been betrayed by people she trusts and she's going to get revenge. This very last line says, "The Scar is a land torn between powerful empires, where rogue mages go to disappear, disgraced soldiers go to die, and Sal goes with a blade, a gun, and a list of 7 names." So she's going out for revenge, and I love a revenge story. This is really big, though. So I think that's the only reason why it's been on my list for as long as it has. But I think I'm going to really love it. Another revenge story. This is Pariah by Anthony Ryan. I've not read anything by Anthony Ryan either, but I love this cover. Give me any kind of cover like this. I've got another one sort of like this kind of cover later. Like, I just love this kind of cover. And so, slap on this cover, call it a revenge story, and I am all in. So, this dude that we're following, he was raised as an outlaw. Some sort of betrayal happened, and now he is wanting revenge. So, he ends up joining, like, the king's army, essentially, in order to, I guess, pave his way to his revenge. Love a revenge story. This next one is Dreams of the Dying. And this one, look at this cover. Like, that cover is crazy. And so that was a big part of like why I wanted to read it. That and like it's purple and black and it's so pretty. And I always forget what this one's about. I know that there's some sort of dreams that are like terrorizing somebody. I never know. But apparently we're following this dude and he is investigating the king and his dreams. And I guess he's in some sort of coma and he's being tormented by his dreams. The empire is in disarray and all these things. I have no idea, but it is also massive. So I guess next year will be the year of like massive books. I've got so many massive ones on this list, but this is one that I have been excited about and I really hope to get to it. This is the one I was talking about a second ago when I was talking about Pariah. See? Look at that. Very similar vibe. This is The Bladed Faith. And we also have another revenge story. So we were following this dude and I guess when he was younger, I don't know how young, his parents were beheaded in front of him. And he is a prince and he got usurped his throne. And so he ended up being like, I guess, a prisoner in war for a while. And these mercenary rebellion people, whatever, I guess they break him out and they're like, hey, if you will be the face of our rebellion, then we will help you get revenge. And so he's going to learn the price of his revenge. Super excited. This next one, I haven't seen widely over YouTube, but the ones that have read it seem to really love it, and that is Ordinary Monsters. So this one, we are following these kids who have strange powers. Why they have powers, I have no idea, but I know it's like 1800 London. So we're going back in time to follow these kids, and I guess they're being like hunted, probably because of their powers. I don't know if they're being hunted because someone wants to use the powers or if someone wants to eliminate their powers. I have no idea. This one is also massive. See this? It could be a long reading year next year. This next one is kind of scary because it's super grimdark. It is The Darkness That Comes Before. And I don't know a whole lot about this one. All I knew about it when I bought it was that it was super grimdark and everyone seemed to really love it. But they talked a lot about being very aware that it is super, super dark. Then I learned that it has crusades in it, and I guess that's a big part of why it's dark. I don't know. Not super excited about the crusades part, but I am still banking on the fact that because pretty much everyone loves it, it's probably pretty good. This next one is also a YouTube darling, and It's fitting that I read this next year because the second one, I think it's the second one, just came out. That is The Will of the Many. This one is a school setting. We're following this dude as he's infiltrating this school and trying to climb the ranks. He has promised them that, I guess, if he graduates whatever the school, then he will pledge his fealty and give whoever's in charge like his will, which is, I don't know how that works, but I guess it's important. But he's lying. He's not going to do that. And that's all that we know so far. And definitely a big book. This one is definitely something that I'm super interested in. And not just because it's hyped, but because I really like a school setting and them infiltrating stuff. I really like that premise with Red Rising. I just didn't like the main character in Red Rising, so I'm hoping to like this main character a little bit more. This next one was a total cover buy because it is gorgeous. It is A Tide of Black Steel by Anthony Ryan. Look how pretty that is. I love it so much. It is so pretty. So for this one, I don't really know what we're doing in this one. I just know that we've got some warriors, we've got a war brewing, we've got adventure happening, probably some betrayal, probably a lot of battle and death and all kinds of stuff. I imagine it's very Viking-esque or maybe more of like Celtic vibes of like Malice. I think Malice, the Faithful and the Fallen series, I think that is pretty Celtic inspired, so I'm imagining something like that or Bloodsworn. I definitely get Bloodsworn vibes when I look at this cover. So, very hopeful that I'm going to love it because I love this cover. This next one is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This one is one that I'm super excited about. I'm currently reading The Women and I am loving it. I really think that Kristen Hanna writes super well and I've heard that she does a really good job of pulling at your heartstrings. Haven't felt that just yet in The Women, so I'm waiting on it. But I've heard that this one will do it to you. And so I'm super excited about it. I think this one follows a sister who is a nurse in a war. Yeah, the Women's War in World War II. So, and I mean, I think Nightingale, I think that was a nurse thing. Yeah, we're following two sisters who go different paths during this World War II. One is probably a nurse, one probably goes and does something else. And so we're trying to figure out, like, we're trying to navigate the dynamics there and trying to figure out how everyone is like treated, I'm assuming. I don't know. These next three I do own, but I don't have the physical copy with me. I think they're in storage. So I'll just put a picture up instead of holding them up. The first one is Crime and Punishment. This one, we're following this dude who I can never pronounce his name, but he ends up committing a crime. Yeah, so he ends up robbing someone and murdering, I guess, that same person. And so we're following him in his arc of redemption. This one is a classic novel. Actually, the next two are also classics. But it's a classic, and it's kind of a shorter classic, which is less intimidating for me. But I hear really good things about Crime and Punishment. So I'm hoping that it's an easy enough classic for me to get into because I don't understand classics. And I would really like to understand them a little bit better. The next one is Great Expectations. And this one, we're following this orphan kid, I think, who goes to live with his aunt. And his aunt is like high society. And he's kind of like being torn between high society and like being a regular person and trying to navigate those dynamics and realizing that high society isn't all that it's cracked up to be because it's a little bit crazy. And then the other one is Les Mis. This one I have attempted to read in the past. I was doing perfectly fine with the physical read of it. When I switched to audio, that's when I started to struggle. So I think this next time around, if I do read it, then I just read the physical copy instead of attempting the audio, or do both. If I can do both, I may be okay, but if I do the audio, I really think I'm gonna get lost. And I think a lot of that is because the dude that we're following, he changes like his appearance a lot. He's in costume a lot because he's running from the law, so he's trying to like hide out. And I think I got a little bit lost with the audio. So that's a big problem. I don't know what else this book is about other than we're following him and he's attempting to run from the law. And then we're also I think we're following the police officer who is trying to capture him. That's all that I know. Can you tell that I got lost when I was reading it? Okay, and these last 5 are books that are part of series that I want to continue reading. I was very intentional with these categories and these books that were chosen. I really wanted specific things out of this priority list. This first one is A Sky Beyond the Storm. This one is book 4, I think, in the Ember and the Ashes series. I loved the first book. Absolutely loved the first book. The second book, I didn't like the ending. And then the third book, I didn't like as much because of the fact that the ending to the second one changed everything. And so we had to deal with that in the third book, and I didn't like that. I'm not really selling you on the fact that I want to read it. But I just want to finish this one. I really loved it, and I really love like the perspectives that we were in, and so I want to know what happens. And I'm hoping that it's not been too long that I can't catch back up. It's been a minute since I've read it, so I'm probably going to be super lost. And it's likely to be a DNF, but I definitely want to give it a try. In this one, we're following, I think her name is Layla and Elias. Layla ends up having her brother killed, and she finds out that he was part of this rebellion. And so she ends up joining the rebellion and then going undercover into this military school and being a servant to the military leader there. The military leader is very, very terrifying because she will beat you if you bring her tea too soon. Or if it's not hot enough, she will beat you. Okay? She's very crazy. Well, she is Elias's mother, and Elias is in the military school. And what I really like about their military school is that they have these masks. And from my understanding, the mask has like these spikes in it, and it will like embed itself into your skin. And the more that you take it off, the less it like attaches to you. So when you put it on and you leave it for long periods of time, it like attaches itself to your face better. That's really crazy. And I thought that was really cool. And I really like Elias. I think Elias was my favorite part of this whole thing. And so I really can't wait to get back into it because we're following this rebellion and we're following Layla as she is attempting to infiltrate and be a spy on the commander of this military school. And then we've got Elias, who doesn't even want to be in the military school. He just wants to leave. He hates it so much. He does not want to be there, but like it's his duty to be there. So he's there because he has to. And so like their whole dynamic is fantastic. This next one is The Devil's Thief. It is book 2 to The Magicians. Something like that. This one, I don't fully remember what happened. I think that we had this girl, and she kind of goes back in time to find this artifact that they're needing, and she ends up learning a lot about the political stuff happening in the city and coming home and being able to utilize that information, utilize that artifact to deal with the present day hardships that they are dealing with. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but that's just what I remember in my head. I really enjoyed the dynamics in this one. I love the characters, and they're back and forth a lot in this one. So that was a big driving force for me. Do I need to read the second one? I don't feel like I need to, but I'm really curious about what's happening because we did get like left hanging in the end of this first book. So really kind of curious about that. This next one, it's so sad. Okay. It's The Veiled Throne. This one is book 3 of the Dandelion Dynasty. Look how massive this is. I started this book in like March or April. I even have a vlog started for this book. I haven't touched it since. Like, have not touched it. Let me see if I can figure out where I'm at. There I am. That's where I'm at. See how much more I still have to go? And it's not because I wasn't loving it. I love this story. I love these books. It's just big. And it's a physical read, and I don't read physical books all that much. So I got a little bit behind. And then I got more behind, and then I just didn't want to pick it up. But I love the story, okay? So the first one, we're following the Dandelion Dynasty. We're basically just following this empire because we're following so many different characters that it's hard to be like, oh, we're following this character and this character because so many characters. But the main character that we're following in the first one is Cooney. And Cooney is a rebellious twerp. Like, he gets in so much trouble all the time. And then he meets a girl, and then he decides to actually get his life together and rise the ranks of stuff. And, like, he actually does pretty well, even though her family hates him because he used to be I want to say he used to be a scallywag. I want to say like a scallion. But that's not right. I don't. What are words right now? But he used to be a hoodlum. That's probably a better word. He was a hoodlum, and her family hates him. And then we're also following Mata. I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it. And Mata was in line for some throne, some kingdom within the empire. But then when war happened, he got like usurped basically. So him and Cooney kind of like meet at some point and become friends and kind of like band together in order to, you know, join this war. And it's crazy because you have all these different kingdoms, all these like different factions, and this giant war is happening, and you got all these different political pieces happening. And the way that the first one is written is very different from the way the second and third one are written. The first one is written in like shorter, like vignette sort of things of like short stories about each of these different characters. And then you kind of come back and like kind of rotate through like you would in a normal book. But it's written so differently. Like you will follow these characters for, I don't know, 20, 30 pages, and then you may never see them again. And it's so good. I love how smart everyone is. In fact, that everyone is like outsmarting everybody. It's so much fun to read. And I'm definitely going to get back into this in 2026. The next one on this list is Of Light and Darkness. This one is by Ryan Cahill. This one is book 2. I don't know the name of the series, and I always mess up the name of the first one, but it's like Of Blood and Fire, Of Fire and Blood. Whichever one is not the one that George R. R. Martin wrote, that's the other one. Why they have the similar names, I have no idea. I guess just to confuse me. But that one, we're following this typical farm boy who ends up being like pushed out of his home into this quest, and he's met up with these dudes, and this is like Aragon for adults. And I've heard that as we get through the books more, it becomes more of its own thing, but you can definitely see the Aragon inspirations in there. And I loved Aragon growing up, so this series is definitely for me. I really enjoyed the first one. It took me forever to get through it, but that's just because of the timing of everything. And we're following this band of people as they are trying to deal with the Empire, and they've got soldiers after them. We've got dragons, we've got dwarves, we've got a secret city, like all of these things that are very Aragon-esque. And I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to get to the second one. And then this last one for this section is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I am sort of scared to read this one just because I haven't enjoyed my reread of the books. So I'm really scared that I'm not going to like this one, especially because there's been a lot of mixed reviews of this book. Like, I don't know that I've heard anyone say that they loved it. So that's not good, especially because I haven't fully loved one since the second one. I liked the third and fourth one well enough, but that second one was my favorite. And then I reread it, and then it wasn't a favorite anymore. So I'm a little bit scared, but I will definitely get to it in the new year just so I can be finished with this arc. If you don't know, this book is part of Brandon Sanderson's epic fantasy series, The Stormlight Archive. The goal is to have 10 books in total. The first 5 are like their own separate arc, and then the second 5 are their own separate arc. So you could read the first 5 and then be done if you wanted to, which is probably my plan. And we're following this giant cast of characters. We're following Kaladin. He's a slave, a doctor, and a military dude, all wrapped up in one person. And he's trying to navigate his biases towards certain races in their society, and not being a victim of his circumstances and taking more control. We're following Shalon, who is a thief, who is lying to this scholar in order to steal from her. We are following war generals. We are following all kinds of people in this story. And what's happening as far as like the plot outside of these characters is our country is at war because of the fact that these dudes that we were attempting to have peace with, they killed our king. Like, they just assassinated him. On the night of the peace treaties, they assassinated him. So we've been at war with these people since. We also have like this overarching war of like the God War, basically. And we have these things called like Knights Radiance, and we have Heralds. And the Knights Radiance had sort of betrayed their oaths to the people. And so everyone kind of hates them. And it's been hundreds of thousands of years or whatever. And we don't even know what happened, yet we hate them. But now they're starting to come back, and their powers are all kinds of things. They have all kinds of things that they can do and abilities. And we don't really know fully if they're good or bad. And we don't really know what to make of them. And it's a 1,200 page book, and there are 5 of them, okay? There's a lot happening. A lot happening. So that is like the quickest summary I could give you of a 1,200 page book. This next one is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This one is a new book and a new series, completely separate from the first Law series. So I have no idea what to expect. I've heard mixed things. Some people really love it. Some people don't. Some people really like his other stuff better, and I have no idea. I don't even fully know like what's happening in this book. I just know we're following this dude who's a priest, and he has devils that are helping him. I don't know. Why does a priest have devils? I don't know. So I guess he's going to this city for this assignment, and oh, I don't know. It's Joe Abercrombie. That's all that I need to know. He is an auto-buy author for me as of this point, so I don't really care what the book is about. I'm going to read it. The next one on this list is a nonfiction called Fight Right. The reason why I've been reading this one is last year in 2024, I was doing a couple of Bible studies with different sets of friends, right? Well, the boyfriend I had at the time was jealous, I guess, and wanted to read something with me. And so we ended up picking this book. Well, I read the first 3 chapters. He read nothing. I think he may have read like an intro or something. And then I had to like sit there with him while we read the first chapter. And then that was it. And it's been a year. Now, granted, we broke up a year later, but we had a whole year to read this. And it's been a year and a half now, and I haven't read it yet. And I love this kind of stuff. I love dating relationship information. And this is by the Gottmans, and they do this thing called the Love Lab. It's where they have these couples come down for like a weekend or whatever. And they've been doing this for 20 years, and they know relationships. And so in this one, they are teaching you how to actually handle conflict. So it's going to be super helpful in my everyday life, helping my friends, and in my therapy practice, you know? So super excited about this. I've read other things by them, and I really love them. I've watched interviews on them, and I think they're fantastic. So I'm actually going to read this. The next one on this list is Shogun. I first heard about this book from Alan Walker over at the Library of Alexandria. And he loves this book. And he even did a read along with, I guess, his Patreons or his, I don't know, with somebody over on his channel with these books. And absolutely loves them. Other people really love them. And I attempted to read it. I think I did the audiobook. I may have got 10 minutes in, but I think it's like old timey. and I don't do so well with old-timey, which is weird because I love medieval fantasy. Why do I love medieval fantasy? But when it's old-timey, I get pulled out. I don't understand. Just weird. But so, I started this book, and I didn't really much care for it. I may have read 3 pages, okay? So, like, it's not like I gave it much of a chance. But then, it got really popular with the TV show and all those things coming out. And I love these covers. Like, I am in love with this cover. And I absolutely want to read it. But this is like a $30 book. And this is part 1. There's 2 parts to this book because it was so big they had to split it up, right? I cannot justify spending $60 on 2 books because I love the cover if I don't read this. So I have to read this in order to buy this book. And I have to love it in order to buy this book, right? So definitely on my list to try and read this year. The problem is, I think if I do a physical read, I think that that's going to be a whole lot better for me because I think that I will be able to do better with not getting pulled out of the story and I'll be able to like keep up better. But it will take me ages to read that. I mean, just look at how long it's taking me to read Veiled Throne. I would never get it finished if I was trying to physical read it. So like I really need the audiobook. So choices. So this one, we're following this captain. I mean, I guess he's a captain. I don't know. It says he's an Englishman and he got lost. Okay. His name is John Blackthorne and he gets lost. Alright, so it says he got lost at sea and he ends up waking up and he is in like 17th century Japan. And so now he's got to navigate this new culture and the politics and all of these things of this new country that he's never been in that very few people actually know of. And so he doesn't know what he's doing. He's completely lost and he's having to navigate all of these things. And I'm assuming that there's like a bigger political conflict here because I don't know that we would need 2 parts of a massive book of him learning the culture. You know, so I think that there's probably more to it, probably more tension. I'd say that there's probably something military happening because I think we've got some like military dudes in the show or on the cover. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's the vibe that I got in the little bit that I've heard about the story is we've got some sort of like military dudes. But I don't know. I could be very wrong. We already have proven that I don't know what I'm doing over here, right? So we'll let it be for now. But anyways, that was my 26 books for 2026. And I know I said that I was going to do short synopses, and I think I'd started out doing pretty well. And then I think I got longer and longer as we went on. Because, I don't know. I guess I feel like everything is important. I don't know. But let me know if you've read any of these. Do you have any books that you're prioritizing in 2026? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.